So we have the first game between Fabiano and Hikaru. This is the first round and the first game that I'll cover from it. So Fabiano starts with e4. We have c5, and this is the Sicilian defense. So Fabi goes for normal, the d4 break. We have the exchange of pawns, and we have knight c3 and e5. So Fabiano goes for this bishop b5 check. Normally, I've seen people play, and myself have played this move, knight b5 instead. And after that, black has, I mean, a6 is the main move, I guess. And white drops back, then b5, and there's some pawn fork threat, etc. We jump in with the knight, and that's a whole different line. Uh, but Hikaru has already prepared something for this candidates tournament, and he just, I think, from what I know of the game, how it occurred, he just wants to be very solid, and like he has studied and prepared a line, and he just wants to play that and doesn't want to get into anything that Fabiano might have prepared. So he goes for this check, and Fabi blocks with the knight, and Hikaru jumps in with knight f4. So in general, I'm kind of afraid to do this. There are some tactics with knight takes this pawn and then the bishop takes this pawn sometimes, or uh, even this break becomes more like more of a threat. And sometimes whenever the bishop takes, we will have a double pawn on the f file. So all of these ideas are there, but we have a6, I guess. No, wait, what do we have? Yeah, we do have a6, and Fabi drops back uh, to a file. Okay. I would have guessed he would have gone back to d3. Seems more solid, but of course, who am I tell to Fabi? Yeah. So we have this bishop on b3 and knight c5. Fabi goes and pins this knight, and this is what I was afraid of. This bishop takes knight. This is what happens. After that, okay, we have the knight was pinned, so Fabian pins it and also prepares to castle. So, and here Fabi just takes this knight. So I would have played queen f3 here, but Fabi chose to castle, and Hikaru plays this move, e4, opening up the bishop. He wants to take this nice knight at some point and maybe give Fabi double pawns, but Fabi just sacks his knight over here because Hikaru hasn't castled just yet, and he can pin the knight. So I guess that's how, yeah, that's how the game progresses. Um, I'm not sure, but I think a little bit patient would have been better. I'm not sure. Yeah, the computer says maybe queen d4. I guess rook e1. Okay, yeah. So black already gets a chance to double the white pawn. So I guess either knight d4, knight d4 drops the b pawn. Yeah. Okay. So Hikaru just, okay, I guess objectively also the computer says this is stockish 16, I guess. It says that e4 is definitely the best move, and Hikaru has prepared it. But over here he loses a pawn because at the end of everything this pawn is also hanging on b2, right? So yeah, Fabi pins Hikaru's knight. Hikaru just castles. He already has seen everything, or I guess rather he has prepared everything. So he takes the pawn, and yeah, Fabi saves his rook, and bishop drops back. So the material count right now is okay. It seems like it is equal, but right now, yeah, Fabi just centralizes his queen and controls the whole board, I guess. It seems very pleasant for white, and yeah, Hikaru brings the rook into the game, and Fabi over here plays a very, I mean, I would not dare to play this move. He goes into the black's camp and tries to eat some pawns over here, but Hikaru utilizes this moment. He plays rook c5, and he's targeting this f pawn. As I said in the beginning, I really don't want to double the pawns on the f file, but Hikaru has already prepared everything. So yeah, Fabi takes the pawn. Hikaru takes this pawn. Fabi centralizes both of his rooks. So now Fabi has a lot of pressure in the center, I think. And Hikaru's bishop is hitting kind of nothing, thin air, and the rook is also really weirdly placed over here. Can be attacked later sometime. So uh, I think Hikaru has to be very active here, I think. So he does go with the pawn, and Fabi is just trying to attack some weak pawns everywhere. Fabi is actually also playing very solidly. Like, I think he could have kept the tension in the beginning, like not sack the knight. He could have played queen d5 right in the beginning, but he chose to go for a line which was like kind of solid and give him a pretty pleasant edge. But over here, Hikaru plays something that the computer says is not really a great move. It's an inaccuracy. Also, yeah, but I kind of like this move because this rook was also weirdly placed, I feel, and somewhere it makes some room for the rook. Also, this rook is attacked, so it has to take the pawn, and this pawn was dropping anyways, in any case. So yeah, Fabi takes the pawn, and I guess what does he do? Oh, Hikaru, yes, I remember Hikaru just sacks his rook. Let's see what happens if Fabi takes this rook. It's just a draw, and since Hikaru was down a pawn, he would definitely like a draw here. So he even gives a check, goes here, and then he threatens checkmate. So either it's, oh my god, this is so scary. But I guess, yeah, Hikaru has foreseen all of this stuff. Uh, the time situation is it's not really clear over here. The Lichess interface is not showing what the time situation was, but I'm assuming Hikaru would have some time. I mean, at this point, it's uh, like Hikaru would have had sufficient time. I guess it was not really a time pressure situation. So he sacks the rook, and Fabiano didn't really see this coming, so he really took a little bit of time to capture this pawn in the center. He couldn't take this rook, it was a perpetual. So Hikaru brings his queen to h4, and we have queen d3 here. So the and now Hikaru just saves his rook, and there is again a trick. If you take this, you can see that there is a checkmate over here. I think so. If you take, you get mated like this, sacks the queen, and you get mated by the rook. So you can't do that. So Hikaru actually saw all of this. I mean, this sack was kind of brilliant, and it came as a shock to Fabi. So he's still up like 2 pawns on the queen side though, so he can actually push all of that. But another thing is that the presence of the opposite colors bishops makes it a little bit of a drawish. It's not really drawish, but according to the computer at least. But in human terms, it doesn't seem too easy to win. So he draws back with the queen. Hikaru saves his rook. We play g3, and Hikaru defends his bishop. And still, the position doesn't seem like that great, really. I mean, the queen and bishop just defending each other. The rook, again, it's better than on f5, but I mean, I guess the rook is still it's in an attacking position, so the rook isn't so bad, but it's not really coordinating with the other rook. So it's more of a seems like oops. Okay, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. Yeah. Um, so now, yeah, Fabi places king to g2, uh, just placing it on a light square, less vulnerable there because black has a dark square bishop. So Hikaru plays this move. It kind of just makes a, I don't know, like this box and covers all these weak squares. Um, but Fabi can still play, I mean, a4 or something. But we'll see. Yeah, Fabi tries to exchange the pieces. Hikaru, I guess, doesn't really mind so much. Yeah, he doesn't. So he forces it even. And we get this opposite color bishop and queen f3 pressuring the bishop. I think king, okay, no. Oh yeah, queen e7 is nice. I'm wondering what happens if king g7. Yeah, the rook gets in actually. This is a very important point, and now black is like completely tied up. So you really want to prevent this rook activation. That's why Fabi is not a patzer. I mean, Hikaru is not a patzer. He comes back with the queen, and now it the the problem with White's position here is even though he's up like I don't know how one or two pawns, I guess one pawn, it's more like effectively it's like 2 pawns because Black really doesn't want to push his king side and weaken it. So basically White is like up 2 pawns on the queen side, but the thing is that White's king is also quite open. So and also there is this opposite color bishop. So if everything gets traded off and we have the bishop and the king gets sufficiently active, then all these pawns on the queen side will be stopped. So the game progresses. We have a4, king g7 now, a5, and Hikaru just sets up a barrier on the seventh rank. Nothing is crossing unless Fabi somehow pushes his c pawn or like somehow he has to take control of this rank here. So and okay, the computer shows actually h4. I think that's a good try. You want to go for h5, weaken the king a little bit. It would still be a draw because the king becomes even more weaker in that case, but still Fabi doesn't go for it. He wants to be solid. It's the first round of the candidate, so and we have some sort of okay, Fabi finally goes for it and Hikaru takes the back one of the pawns. Okay, I guess it's just a draw. Okay, Fabi does it so that he gets this pawn, and Hikaru has actually foreseen that he can put his king on h6, which would be scary in a blitz game, but he has already calculated everything. Doesn't even attempt to. I guess there is no way to save the pawn, but yeah, he gives that up. He gives up that pawn, puts his king on h6. Fabi tries to hide from any checks. Hikaru offers a trade, and we have a draw here. I think draw agreed because it's an opposite color bishop. The queen is really active. I mean, it can give so many checks from so many places, like, and Fabi can't really push anything. So yeah, uh, Hikaru took some risks in this game, but he also put Fabi under some time pressure, I guess. Relatively speaking, he was probably playing a bit faster than Fabi, especially in the opening as well. And he managed to neutralize Fabi with white, even though he was worse at some point, but humanly, yeah, it was difficult. So that was game one. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.